live.
Okay. Welcome here to the Zelda 2 All Keys 100% tournament. This turns out to be day number 2 after we've already had a couple of races earlier today and yesterday as well. This one is going to be between Presjpolk and Error72 as we're in the middle of the group stage as these two get together and get ready to race. Should be a lot of fun. Error got to see him practice a little bit yesterday as he did the Zelda 2D relay race, helping his team to victory and pulling off some neat tricks that we're hoping to see again here during the course of this evening. I should, real fast before we get going, pull up the challenge bracket here and see who else is in this group. As we get ready for this race, we're still waiting for both of these guys to ready up. But this here between both of these guys is a Group B match. Also in this group would be Highlander, GCB, Zarnax42, and RC Jerome. This is the first match in this group in which everyone will play each other during the course of this game. So both of these guys are about ready to go. We're about ready to hit the ready buttons for both of these guys, and we'll see some racing here between both of these guys in just a moment. Error had a torrid pace yesterday. What was it, a sub 80? I believe it was. So both of these guys have got ready. We're about ready to see them race as soon as we get past the Twitch delay. And both of these guys are going to be going in the same similar path, which would include heading over towards the magic container south of the first palace that we begin with. So we're underway, and both of these runners are off and running. Error, as I noted before, he's going to be heading on over towards the magic cave right now, trying to get. And this is where one of the key elements come into play here, trying to see if you can't scoop up that 50p bag early on. That might give yourself an advantage here as you get yourself closer to being attacked too faster. And heading out of here, it looks like unfortunately he was unable to scoop that, as he will make his way over towards the right. So both of these guys, unfortunately, it looks like they were unable to scoop up the P bag, and so they're going to make their way over to town. They're going to grab. And it looks like Presjpolk's actually going to go towards the jump, grab the trophy out of the jump, rather the trophy that gets you the jump spell early before he heads on over to Palace 1. So a little bit of a difference here between both of these guys. Error right now is heading to grab the shield spell, which will help him out in combat a little bit by improving his defense. Whereas Presjpolk, will he go grab that jump spell early? Yes, he will. So different path for both of these guys as they set themselves up for the first palace in just a few moments. And Error now making his way over towards the desert where the first palace resides. Another key element will come into play, whether or not Error is able to pick up the forced encounter skip, which there are many tiles in this game which force you into a battle scene. A very difficult one here because you got bubbles and you got a platform. So he'll head on over, try to set himself up. And will he get it? Yes, he will. There it is. No encounter. Gets the skip. Now is he going to be able to go grab the heart container here to help improve his life now up to 5 blocks? So I'm not used to Presjpolk's routing, but he is heading for the jump cave right now. So it does look like he is going to be, as people are speculating in the chat, he is going to be heading for a Dark World Death Mountain. As Error is heading over towards the first palace. And some of the difficulties here, of course, there are certain monsters you can't see, so you gotta go based on audio clues and maybe a few other subtle notices on the floors and things like that. In palace number 1, we're gonna be looking for Error here to try to emerge out of here. The best case scenario would be to leave here with attack 4, but the problem with this right now is it looks like he might not be able to get that without getting that first P-bag. It all depends on some P-bag luck. Every 6th enemy that you kill of a certain category has a chance of dropping a jar or the P-bag. The small enemies can be worth 50, the large enemies can be worth 200. So we're keeping to see who gets lucky in regards to that as well. As Presnell getting the letter from Bagu, which will get him over to Death Mountain. And again, I have not seen this strategy before, heading over towards Death Mountain this early on. It's something I'll be looking forward to seeing how he's able to pull this off. I know I, for one, who's not very experienced in this game, could never do it. He's in trouble life-wise, but he is going to be able to get into town and be able to get some life, including the life spell, once he's able to find a mirror underneath the table. As Error now getting his way over to grab the key on the top right of this palace, which you need. The way these palaces are devised, a lot of these are devised in which you've got to go out of your way to get particular things in order to progress through later stages of this game. Now, for those of you who are not used to this category, 100% all keys is exactly what it states. You got to grab all the keys in the game, and you cannot use the strategies of trying to get yourself through the top of the ceiling or ferrying your way through a key door in order to perhaps save some time there. And if you do, you still have to grab a key that would otherwise normally correspond to that door you would end up opening it up. Press is on beeping stretch right now, as people are pointing out. As he makes his way through Mido. Maybe it's Mido, I believe. But he's gonna grab the heart. He's gonna grab the magic fill up and fill up his life using the life spell that he just grabbed. Grabbing the Riverman, showing him the note. You know, Bagu, then I can help you cross, and he's gonna head on over to Death Mountain. On Error's end, he's about to cross this bridge. Get a 50p bag that's along the way. He's gonna grab that, and that's his first attack. He's now up to attack 2. Again, I've got to wonder here, going through Death Mountain with attack 1, magic 1, life 1. I'm not, I know I'm not somebody who'd be pulling that off, but more power to Presjpolk if he's able to get through here without much trouble. But both of these guys are definitely skilled at this. As Error grabs the candle, already with 55 experience points, so he got himself a P bag, which definitely will help him out. But one of the big ones is trying to see if you can scoop up a 200 P bag coming up in just a couple of rooms here. As Presjpolk just making his way through Death Mountain, a complete maze of caves here. And one of the interesting things that I've noticed before, because I've seen some of these dark Death Mountain runs, is the fact that these orange X-wielding enemies, they still show up completely the way that they would if you were in a light room, or if you had the candle, rather. Presjpolk making easy work of that guy, and he will end up getting his attack 2 as well. Now, we've noticed that Error has gone to life 2. He should be in pretty good shape. Again, we're going to be looking to see if he can't get the 200p bag We'll know whether or not he does if he gets the red or the... Whether or not he gets the red jar or not, we'll find out in just a moment. But it looks like he should be in good shape. He will leave here with at least attack 3. And apparently we already saw the attempt for the P-bag. He couldn't get it. Going up against Horsehead's 2-1-2, so he will leave here with 3-1 and 2. Presjpolk here going head toe to toe, getting in some trouble, having to use his life spell. Thankfully, coming up in a couple of caves, he will have a red jar attempt, but he's got to make it through these couple of caves first in order to do that. And we've noted a Chewy skip as Error completes Palace number 1. Now, he's going to make his way over to the Trophy Cave. He's going to get the jump spell, then he'll make his way over to that mountain. And soon, once we get to the second palace, that's when we're going to start seeing both of the routes converge. It's Saria, rather, that is where the life spell is. I've got those mixed up. My idol's where you get the down thrust and the fairy. And I noticed one thing here is Pres is being patient here as he goes up, finishes off the very first part of this final cave that holds the hammer, gets his attack 3. So now both runners currently 3-1-2, but in different areas of this game so far. A lot of the execution in this all keys run has to do with how you're planning out your experience. So Error gonna grab the jump spell and he'll make his way over towards Death Mountain in just a few moments. And very good hammer cave so far for Presjpolk. He's gonna get out of here, grab the hammer, and he's already set up for a possible attack 4 coming soon. Now I'm interested to see what Pres does after he leaves here. According to his splits, he's gonna go to Mido and get the down thrust, and then he's gonna head over to the Presjpolk Palace there and grab the first palace and the candle. Right after he leaves the Hammer Cave, Presjpolk will go over towards the left. He will grab the magic container that will give him 6 blocks of magic, which will give him plenty of room to cast that life spell. He's just, again, the worst of this Death Mountain experience is behind him. Just get himself through the last couple of caves. Now, he does not reset by going into the caves, and as you see, that resulted in that random encounter that he ran onto. Didn't cost him too much time, but now he's able to make his way over towards the eastern section of this western island. I know that's 2 words that contradict with each other. And now Error grabbing the letter, going to see Bagu. And this is difficult. This screen here is very difficult when you've got the bubbles and you're trying to dodge the axis. He does take 1 hit, knocks him down to just over 2 bars of health right now. We're gonna grab the one up here south of the bridge, make his way over to Mido, grab Actually, no, you can't do that just yet, because he's gonna get the medicine first, the medicine of life, and then he's gonna make his way to town, get the fairy spell, get the down thrust. So if you're just tuning in, Presjpolk decided to go Death Mountain first instead of going to the palace. And Error going the conventional way, going to the palace first, and now he's making his way over towards Death Mountain. That is where the difference is between both of these runners right now. Pres taking some big damage here in this medicine of life cave, and could not withstand the second axe wielder here, the red one. And finally does emerge, gets the medicine of life. And because he already lost a life, I know you might be thinking about possibly jumping into the lava there to die, but already losing a life in a race situation here, you might not want to do that. As Error makes his way over to Death Mountain. And another life picked up for Presjpolk, which replenishes the one he lost, but I'm certain he would rather have not had that death growing to grab the magic of life. So entering Mido once again. Bring the medicine, you get the fairy spell. Make the jump into the church, you get the down thrust. Sarah's stream just stopped for me for just a quick second, getting him back up. But good maneuver here, trying to take care of the first instances of the stronger 100 experienced enemies here in Death Mountain. As far as the fairy clauses in the race, it is allowed. The only thing you can't do with the fairy is the fairy scroll, or do the fairy through the keyhole. Those are not allowed. The super jump, the eco key, all of those are allowed. But fairy clause is not permitted. Fairy clause is permitted, just the fairy scroll is not permitted, as well as the fairy through the keyholes. Error's got to be careful, but he does make it over to the red jar, so he's going to be able to replenish his life heading into the final cave of Death Mountain. And both of these guys are just taking it patiently when it comes to that first section, because that is a very challenging sector right there. Very low ceiling, have a possibility of getting wrecked, as 4, 1, and 2 now are Error strats. And now Prez trying to set himself up, and will he be able to get the encounter skip? He's trying to set up right now. Enemies are running away, so he's not going to be able to, so he's got to take it easy through here, dodging the bubbles, dodging the pits, just trying to stay alive, not lose any momentum here. And a pretty good Death Mountain for Error, picking up the hammer. certain he would have preferred to have it a little bit better. To get lucky though, he did get a 200 experience point bag, and that might set him up for a attack 5 in Palace 2, depending on how things go experience-wise. Should be in good shape for Helmet Head when he gets to that point. Now, Press finally going into Palace 1. He's only 252 points away from getting to Attack 4, so he should have no problem having Attack 4 by the time he gets to Horseheads. For those who don't know anything about the tournament here, this is a group stage to begin with. All these guys that are in single groups, they're going to face off against each other. And the top, and I believe it's the top 2 in the group, are the ones who will be moving on to the bracket stage coming up at the end of the round robin here. So going to be a lot of fun here and a lot of incentive to stay tuned, as we got a lot of races coming up in the first couple of weeks of this tournament. And once we get to the second palace, that is where the rounds are going to converge for both of these guys. And we should be able to see who really is out in front right now. So yeah, right now Presjpolk did the Dark Death Mount, so he's already got the hammer, he's already got the down stab, and he's also got the fairy spell, all the things you normally do before you go into Palace 2. Error still yet to get that. He's still got to get the Medicine of Life, gets a random encounter here, which is going to send him back a few seconds. From a analytical point, it does look like Error is in the lead, but getting more of these random encounters are going to slow him down. Just gotta be careful of his health as he heads into the medicine cave. This is only 104 now away from getting his level up. So again, he's in decent shape, should be able to have attack 4 heading into the boss. And I think Error should be in decent shape coming up as well. And will he go for the death? No, he will not. Oh, Error will go for the death. He does back up, gets the death. It looks at his life. Probably a good idea, but that allows him to at least retreat out of that room. Gets it a little faster. And we see the fairy being used here for Presjpolk. And you see, he does end up using a key. He doesn't fairy through the keyhole. He does go to the bottom of the key door in order to make sure that he does use that. Error now making his way over to town. He will grab his spell, grab his down stab, make his way over to Palace 2. In alright shape, but having some tough luck as it is. And with Magic 1 Life 2, Press should be in decent shape to walk down to Palace 1 with a 5, 1, and 2. So there's his attack going up. That makes that a 4. It just needs to get to 150. And gets the P back for the 200 right there. And knowing that, he's going to up his magic. Although, oh no! As Press just made a critical error right there. Wow. Presjpolk taking magic. I think we're back. And I think we are back. So what ended up happening is Presjpolk ended up taking the magic, and that allowed him to be short what he needed to get to level 5 on the attack. So that gives Error a huge advantage in this race, as he's already in Palace number 2. And Press immediately knew what he did, and you could see him holding his hands up to his face in complete disbelief on his webcam. That is astonishing, unbelievable what just happened right there. And he now puts the crystal into the palace in level 1, kind of just stands there still in awe about what he just did. But he's got to get himself back into this. He's got a race to go. He already kind of knocked off his split, so he knows that this is not going to be a run he wants to save. So he's going to go into town here, grab the shield spell, and then head on over to Palace 2. Over on Error's end, he's just making his way through, grabbing some keys, then he's going to make his way over towards the power glove, which will allow him to break open the blocks. But a big lead right now for Error. And this is a sizable lead after Press had to go back in and kill a few more enemies to make up for the experience that he lost because of the leveling up. Error taking care of some of these Zots and making sure that they don't bonk him into the lava. That would be a crusher right there as well. Gets the Iron Knuckle and gets the 200p bag. In decent shape right now. I believe he will have attack 5 real soon, and should be leaving here with attack 6. Now the block puzzle. Pee bag. Don't need that pee bag. You're perfectly fine at this point. And gets bonked into a random encounter. And as we noticed, Error using the fairy as he grabs the power glove. That will save a couple of seconds. He does not have to worry now about the holding it up in the air like it's a trophy. Now he'll grab the 50p bag. And will make his way over towards Helmet Head. Nice dodge of the flames there on Error's end. And there's his attack 5. So he needs to clear the 150 hurdle. And that way he'll be set up to take attack 6 coming out of this palace. In this run here, the runners are not necessarily seated. They're somewhat seated, but they're all been paired into groups where there will be runners of high caliber, runners of low caliber, and they're in the middle as well. Presjpolk and Errors in a group that also includes Highlander GCB, RC Drone as well, and Zarnex. This is a round-robin group right now, where all 5 players in the single group will have to face off against each other, and then the people with the best records will move on to the next. Completing runs are very important in this tournament too, because if there is a tie in your record, it goes to how many points you have. And your time is considered your points. But there really is no ultimate difficult group. Everybody's going to have some difficulty coming out of their group. The people who end up going, if anybody goes 4-0, they have earned it in their groups. And now heading to the boss, Error's in great shape because taking care of this boss, no problem. Just hit it a few times. There you go. You're done. And you're now set up to take attack 6 coming out of here, and it's time to head over to the Island Palace coming up. Which, unfortunately for us, that means Error's not going to see his counterpart in town. That tells him how to get to the Island Palace, rather. So 2 palaces down for Error at about the 30-30 mark. Has to be careful with the random encounter that he doesn't leave the screen at the same time that his next hits the very top. Doesn't have to worry about that now because he's got plenty of room. But if you end up doing that the same exact frame that the experience hits the top, you soft lock the game, and well, at this point you don't really want to have to reset what you've done 30 minutes in. It's going to be a fun tournament. Looking forward to seeing some of these runners who will grow as this tournament progresses. So 6, 1, and 2 for Error. 5, 2, and 3 right now for Prez, as we're seeing a couple of differences for both of these runners. Trying to get the red iron knuckles to get out of his way. And they do not want to help him out any, so he's going to have to swallow some damage if he's going to get out of there. And Prez finally does, leaves the room, and he is still kind of exasperated here, having some difficulty. Probably will be able to leave here with a attack 7. He's going to be probably able to work up a couple of his other attributes as well. Black puzzle rooms. It's amazing to watch as the experienced runners of this game are able to get through this without taking any damage. I, for myself, have had some difficulty with those block rooms before when I play this casually, and, well, it doesn't end well. So, in level 3, we're now grabbing the raft, which gets you over to the other island. In the next 3 dungeons, the item that you get strictly helps you get into the next dungeon. The raft gets you to the eastern half of Hyrule, where you can find level 4. The boots in 4 get you to 5, and the flute in 5 gets you to 6. If only the item in 6 had more usefulness to it. And Prez is now sitting at 362, getting ready to head on over towards the final sector of Palace 2. So he will be in decent shape as far as getting to attack 6 coming out of here. Only problem he's got to watch out for is his health right now. One thing I haven't noted yet is that there is a penalty when you get a game over. And if you get a game over, you have to return to the room that you were in when you got the game over. So in effectiveness, you cannot use the game over to put yourself in a better position. So Prez now putting the crystal into Palace number 2. So sitting right now about 4 minutes behind Error. Just trying to make his way through the swamp, get himself over to Palace 3. In a couple of the more annoying rooms in Zelda 2, these rooms that have these little things that are firing at you, they come from whatever direction, whatever height you are facing. Such fun. They're great fun enemies. Now you notice that Prez is going here to the King's Tomb, and the whole idea about that is to reset the timer so you don't have to worry about the random enemy spawns coming up. And Error right now needing to clear 700 so he can get to attack 7. Should have no problem doing that. Got plenty of enemies in this dungeon that are decent at handing out experience points. So he should have absolutely no worries as he gets ready to face off against the boss of level 3. And that's how you do it right there. 4 quick down thrusts and see you later. Thank you for coming. So placing the crystal into the placing the crystal into the statue, that will get him up to the 5,000 experience, and he will head on over towards Palace 4, Eastern Hyrule, attack 7, magic 3, and life 3. If anybody is new to Zelda 2, what the magic does is it lowers the amount that you need for spells. And life will reduce the how much damage an enemy does if you get hit by them. So it is kind of critical at points in this game to try to level those things up. And we're coming upon one of the most useful things in this game. The good old fetch quest of this town to deal with a thirsty person's desire to walk for water, or rather to get water, but don't want to go the 20 feet to grab it from the water fountain. So you can learn the good old spell of fire. When all else fails, use fire. And I will say this, here we did see Error in the relay race Saturday. He used the fire spell. And I'm sorry I can't replicate the TGE ramp, but we'll have our opportunity to see him at some point in time during this tournament. But it's for freaking water, guys. Somebody bring me some water. It's a Melissa Etheridge song. And I can't believe that I am actually quoting that at this moment. Now, one of the things that we don't get to see, because these guys use the fairy spell, is the whole great idea of holding a child above your head in just a few moments. And nice move there by Error to get the random encounter to spawn so he sees where he can and cannot go. Yeah, she did come outside to get Link to ask Link for some water. Maybe she's trying to see if Link was going to be nice to her. So she could invite him inside to meet her father. Take that however you guys want. So the fairy grabbed the child for Error. You'll now head on over to Darunia. Now the question is will we see Error be able to pull off the super jump? Unfortunately, he couldn't pull it off on Saturdays, so it'd be really fun to see if he could be able to pull it off, especially on the first try here. But first, the question is, can he get the 2 encounter skips coming up here? He gets the first one. The tougher the 2 of the encounters, that is, not the skips, is coming up right here. He's trying to pause it to set things up, and he finally is able to pull it off. So he doesn't have to deal with that horrid bubble room. Nobody likes dealing with those bubbles. Presjpolk now finishing off of the Island Palace, puts the crystal into the statue, and he'll be leaving Palace 3 with 7, 3, and 3. Here's the jump. No, he's just gonna do the fairy. Go down the chimney. Okay. Not even trying the jump this time around. Just go straight to the fairy. He did try it during the race on Saturday. Unfortunately, he couldn't pull it off, so he ended up finally going to the fairy and just going down the chimney that way. You get the up stab, which most casual players would think would be required to grab that key in 4, but it turns out that you are not. That you are ending up going to. That you are going to. You're gonna be able to grab that key without having to use the up stab. It just takes a good jump spell and crushing the blocks that way. So Presjpolk getting beat up here on the walk to the town. Has to be careful, but finally he's able to make it over to the yellow path where he's got no enemies to deal with, the safe road that it is. So now it's time for him to go bring a lady some water. Can't you see she's burning alive? And the first skip for Error. Again, that's of the two is the tougher one, so he's gonna just opt not to wait around. He's gonna go through this second one without having to deal with the bubbles. Been told by Shiner on Saturday, this one is a little easier just to walk because the Octoroks aren't firing as you're trying to jump up. It definitely helps you out. Nice use of the pausing to try to set himself up, trying to dodge all these encounters. Trying to get around the forest. Nice juke move, kind of like a football player running back, and he gets to the bridge. Touchdown! Error. He could go all the way. And a long walk around the maze island to get only 2 encounters. One is the first to grab this magic jar. As you see, he uses the fairy in order to save the couple of frames that has Link holding it up in the air. And this encounter here, which is the only tile you're going to come across on this path. Again, the path that these runners take through the maze island is on purpose. It is usually the longer of the route so that you have minimal encounters. Now, the island, the maze palace number 4. Or if you didn't grab the reflex spell as a kid, you were screaming at this palace when you got to the boss. Presjpolk now grabbing the child, heading on over to Daronia. He'll get his up thrust, he'll get his reflex spell, he'll get his one up. Nice jump there to avoid the pit by Error. Again, he should be pretty well set up experience-wise to get attack 8 leaving here. And this will be probably the first area where you might see a runner death warp by jumping into the lava, getting over to the first screen. Actually, no, I take that back, because we did see that early with Error using the death warp in the medicine cave. He's going to opt to go with life here, which is a good choice. He does have plenty of room to take a couple of spells at this moment. And we see another fairy clause on Presjpolk's end, so neither player will be able to pull off the super jump. Error grabbing the boots. These boots were made for walking, and that's what they will do, because these boots will let you walk on over to Palace number 5. More on that later. It is getting closer and closer to Christmas. We probably will see some more fairy claws as we make our way through this tournament. And by the way, if you want to find out more about the tournament, be sure to go to challenge.com. 2016 Zelda 2. And we see a death warp here on Error's end that gets him, after grabbing the key, back to the start of that room. No walk back for him this case. Simply on the answer to that, Brother John, if you get super jump on it fast, like on the first try, you're going to save some time. And probably if you're threatening world record, you want to get super jump. Because Fairy does take a little slower time moving. So there's definitely an advantage here speed-wise. And yes, that death that you saw Error take is to prevent himself from having to walk all the way back to the end of that room. And you're going to see that also coming up in a couple of other palaces. Like Palace 6, I believe there's also a death warp on that route as well. And also the other advantage to death warping too is that you get your magic and your life refilled and here is where you see Error pull off the reason why up thrust is not needed anymore. Although it still needs to be grabbed in the 100% category because you can jump, hit that block, and therefore no need for the up thrust. I can still get that block to break open. And pretty solid Palace 4 right now, and pretty good movements here for Presjpolk. But not getting good luck with his bonds, which is not helping him catch up in this race to Air. Once again, it is very important, even though that Presjpolk is behind, that he does finish off this race no matter what happens, because one of the tie breaks in this tournament will be your overall time. That would make a difference, and it could make the difference between moving on to the bracket stage of this tournament or being done once the group stage is over with. Error's on decent shape right now, so he will definitely be leaving Palace 4 with 8, 3, and 4 for his stats. And both of these guys now in Palace number 4. Presjpolk just started Palace 4. Has a lot to catch up, but again, it comes down to there are still a lot of components that can come down that this race can come down to. Palace 5 is big and bulky. You might see a death. Palace 6 could be also a big contributing factor, plus Valley of Death, and of course the Great Palace as well. And as Error heads into this boss, this is an RNG boss. If you get him in a perfect setup here, you can get him done pretty fast. All depends on where he shows up, and I think it looks like Error had a pretty decent boss battle. And therefore he'll put the crystal into the palace and be done with Palace 4. And right now, only 28 seconds above his personal best. 28.8 seconds right now. Heading out of Palace number 4. Now the walk over to Palace 5. And the question is, will we see Error duplicate what he did on Saturday? Will he get the Eco Key? Price going with the magic, getting that up to 4. So 7, 4, 3 versus 8, 3, and 4 on the stats right now for both of these runners. So the Eco Key is to bypass having to use the ferry in this upcoming room. And he's going for it. Well, we see Error do it again. He doesn't get the best setup here. And no, he's going to have to go with the ferry. So he could not pull off the Eco Key this time around. So he's going to have to go back into the room, claim that key, losing about 10 seconds on the run because of that. A death warp now coming up for Presjpolk after grabbing the key, brings him back to the start of the room, and he'll head on through the remainder of this path. So, unfortunately, no Eco Key for Error, rather. He definitely gave it a good try, but didn't get the best setup for it. Nothing like the setup he had on Saturday. Now, no matter what both of these runners do when it comes to Palace number 5. The idea here is that you want to get set up, no matter what you do, where you leave Palace 5 and your count up is all the way up to the 9,000 level. There you can start maxing out, not maxing out, but getting some of your stats up. And he's choosing to kill off a couple of these enemies. And the purpose is he's going to choose the the magic 4. And he's going to use some of that to increase his life and get ready for this block key. Trying to get the blocks to set up in his favor. And he is able to get that. There we go. Pretty good there for Error. Gets the magic jar as well, and gets another magic jar to fall, so no 200p bag for him. But unfortunately, nope, Error did not get the eco key. Which is probably another reason why he ended up having to take the magic 4 right there, because he had to spend it for the fairy. And we don't see the jump block jump there from Presjpolk. Instead, he will use the up thrust to grab that block and grab that key rather. Now time for the blue iron knuckle that's blocking a wall that you have to walk through in order to get to the flute. One of those things that drove new players bananas. Back in the day, you knew you had to go through something to get the item in 5, but where is it? It's hiding behind a wall, and without this item, you can't get to Palace 6. In fact, you can't get to the remainder of this game. The power of attack 8, allowing Error just to kind of easily destroy his way through the enemies. And another damage a death warp right there for Presjpolk, getting himself out of that room. Life's not an issue for either of these guys. They're in decent shape right now as far as that is concerned. Indeed, we got the false walls going for us. Just like other games we grew up and loved. But at least you don't need a crystal to see the hidden platforms this time around. And the complete out-of-the-way key that can go down a long path of death and destruction in order to finally see where it is. But no need to. We know how to get there. And now time for Presjpolk to see whether or not he gets good RNG here with this boss. And not a bad boss fight there from Presjpolk as well. So I've not gotten to see Presjpolk run this game all that much. So the question is will we see Presjpolk going for the eco key as well? Right now, Error's got probably about a 6-minute lead over Presjpolk. And it does not look like Presjpolk is going to try for the eco key. He's already got his fairy spell all lined up and ready to go. So 1200 is the number, the critical number right now. No problems. Error is going to easily get past that number. Guma gives you 500 experience once you get done with him, so he will have no problem getting it up to the 9,000, or rather getting past the 1,200 so he can get to the 9,000 at the end of this level. Error's in very decent shape. Now, here's the question as far as Error is concerned. Will he be able to replicate the Guma fight that he had on Saturday morning? That was an amazing fight. And here he goes. And this time, gets him off the screen. This is not going to be quite the Guma that he had the other night, or rather Saturday morning, but he is able to complete him, get him taken down, grabs the key, and will place the crystal in the palace to the statue, be done with Palace 5, make his way to the southern end of the eastern island, and start getting some stats. 58:30. 58:38 at the Palace. As Press still early in Palace 5, still got a lot to do there. Activate the ferry to grab this heart container fast. And waits. I was getting really concerned there with Error that he was going to try to leave, as that count was getting very close to that 9,000. That would have been very dangerous. But wisely holds up until the count up goes up. That would have been very devastating if Error had soft locked. So the blow of the whistle, get the enemies to spawn. That way you can now at least get your first encounter skip. And now time to ferry your way through the second and third forced encounters of this long walkway. And Error getting ready to use the fire spell. That's right, Error uses the fire spell. He's going to use it in the upcoming cave as he makes his way over to the secret town. It's over the bridge to reset the timer. And can't juke his way around this time. Unfortunately, he's caught by the enemies down, and it's now second down and 3 yards to go. And this time again, unfortunately, can't get to the end zone, and this time it's going to be third and goal. This time he's finally able to get in there, touchdown. But using the fire spell at least to get rid of these enemies here. Indeed, a soft lock would really not be pleasant at this point in time. And now we're into the run. That's not how you want your run to come to an end. Yes, touchdown. Unfortunately, I couldn't really do it like the other time when he made that run from Darnia to the Maze Island without getting touched. That was sweet. That was actually a really good trip there. And it's time to remember the magic word, everybody. It's spell! And I'm being told that is the case, that yes, you can try to prove TGE wrong, just you've got a better chance facing off against Guma with attack 1. Or going up against, and maybe even going up against Thunderbird without the Thunder Spell. I was told the magic word was please, but unfortunately Unfortunately, this game proved me wrong. This game told me that it was a spell. Brez grabbed his recorder, or rather flute, or whatever its name is called in this game. I believe it's called the flute. Getting set up to grab the final key of Palace 5 before he can face off against Guma. He will be in pretty decent shape as far as experience is. In fact, he's already got it, so 9,000 is next level. And now with the final magic container in hand, Error's going to make his way over to Palace 6. And we get to see another case of him using the fire spell before then. Error not opting to go with any levels up. He's going to go into 6, 8, 6, and 6. And already set himself up for the ability to go, I believe it will be 8, 7, and 7 by the time he's done with Palace number 6. Prez taking some damage from the blue iron knuckle before he gets into the room with Guma. Gotta be careful. Got his life ready to go just in case though. And might have to use it. Does end up using it. Pretty decent kill there. In fact, his Guma was faster than Presjpolk's, rather than Error's, rather. And at 1 hour, 4 minutes, and about 30 seconds is when he'll be leaving the palace. So right now it's a 6-minute lead for Error. Quick use of the jump spell to avoid the pits because you don't want to deal with those pits right now. You need to grab the item. As right now, leaving Palace 5, Error was 57.3 seconds behind his personal best. So probably not going to see any world record paces going on here during the course of this run, but still going to be a very solid effort from Error. Prez getting the first skip, and just in time to pull up the menu here, and he's gonna go 8-7-5 right now, and he's not gonna be that far away from getting up to life 6 before he goes into 6. So the boss rush of level 6, or Palace 6, yeah, that was fast. So fast that he didn't even have a chance to have his health go all the way down to 0. Time to grab the cross, getting out of here. Both runners coming very close to getting soft locks, and again, a soft lock is not what you need in this game. It's kind of preferred. Does get the magic jar from the statue, which is good. Jumps over to prevent himself from going into the pit, which also is good. And a difference in how both of these runners are going through this cave. Earlier we saw Error use the fire spell to deal with this first room of this cave that connects you between the forest and the hidden town. We see Presjpolk, he's using the fairy spell through there. And couldn't use the hammer to uncover the town real fast. So this is unfortunate Presj, just losing a little more time. And finally is able to uncover the secret town. And the key thing about having the magic full in Palace 6 after you come away with the cross is because there's a room that you come across that requires you to have the fairy, and that's the only way to get across the pit. As Pres now is getting told to remember the magic word, its spell, Error is now finding the room that you have to ferry across. Avoiding the bubbles because the bubbles are nasty, they can take your magic away. And now onto the second room of hell in Palace 6. You know what? All the rooms in Palace 6 can be hell, but another boss, or a mini boss, or another edition of this. And with attack 8, no problem. Goodbye. You are the weakest link. Link is too strong for you. Goodbye. And time to head on over to the boss. Can Error, now the question is, can Error one cycle this boss? He has himself set up with a shield, rather with a jump. And he's going for it. And a good one cycle. Very good boss kill there on Error's end. Time to place the crystal. Make your way to the Valley of Death. Time to head to the old town. But first, time to grab yourself a magic 7 and a life 7. Or not. So actually, I think he's gonna go 886. Just based on where he's standing right now. And if I would have to predict correctly, I think he's going to try to set it up so he can get 886 during the Great Palace as a manner of refreshing his magic. Prize is now just going into Palace 6. To see if he is able to catch up any amount of time before Error makes his way into the Great Palace. Error's on a very good pace right now. According to his splits, he left Palace 6 at 109.03, which is 104 above his personal best. So definitely a sub 80 is in the cards for Error if he's able to get a clean Great Palace. Sets up the enemies now so he doesn't get an encounter in the graveyard, because the graveyard is a nasty spot. And can't get the skip. So he's going to try it one more time. And this time, can't get the skip again. Now he finally is able to get the skip. And into the Valley of Death goes Error. Oh! Did he get in time? He did! Got bonked by an enemy. Almost lunged into the pit, but a last-second fairy saves him. And can't get the encounter skip again, though. But this time he's finally able to. He's got fairy ready to go just in case. And oh! Almost falls off the edge again! That is twice now that he's had some difficulty against these enemies and nearly fell into the pit. Gotta be careful against these enemies. They're out for blood, and this time just taking it slow to make sure that he doesn't have to use another fairy. And a good point in chat is that Error is not using the spell, which would turn them all into Zotz. And Error's having some difficulty in the cave here. An enemy that has none of it, but gives him a red jar, which is exactly what he needs right now. That is huge luck right there for Error. That helps him out tremendously. And this time getting forward pushed away from the pit. Good there for Error. Into the final cave before the Great Palace. Now in the tournament, you can game over in the Great Palace, but you cannot up and A. Up and A is prohibited from use in the course of this tournament. But you can game over by a death in this Great Palace. That way you can start here with a full complement of the 3 lives. And also, actually, if you're taking a look at his experience points, the fact that he was able to get the red jar there was immaterial. Because if it dropped the P bag, he would have had enough experience to get Magic 8, which would have been a magic refill anyway. So getting the red jar is big for him, but it's not as big as if he was far away from getting Magic 8. So as Error's making his way through this Great Palace, and we're starting to get some guesses in the chat, what do you guys think will be the final time for our runners today? As we're getting a 77-12, a 78, unless Great Palace goes poorly. This could easily end up being a sub 80 run. He does get the experience he needs to level up. Gets his Magic 8, so he's going to go 8-8-6 through the remainder of this run. And I definitely have to note this. Some people have noted it already. This is a different route than we're used to going through the Great Palace. But this is where Error, knowing where he needs to go, it's going to make it pay off for him. There's the giant Zot. I hated those things as a kid. 1:15:25 is when Presjpolk left Palace number 6. As he got a 1 cycle through the boss of level 6. Getting himself over to grab the Thunder Spell, getting himself set up to head on over to Death Mountain. Yeah. So this is not the traditional route that Error is showing up. This is not the route that he did last on Saturday. He's setting himself up on the top blocks to at least avoid getting destroyed by this knight here, the guardian of the Triforce of Power, just like all these others are. And just finally able to get out of here. And get some bad luck right there. Trying to set up a red jar. Couldn't get it. And he'll just have him kill him now to reset his life and his magic. And through the room here. Having to use the fairy spell to get across the pit of lava. And that puts him right above where the blocks are. And he's going to use the damage boost, try to use the damage boost to get him up to the top of the ceiling here. He's not gotten it yet. And one of them ends up being killed. The other one ges killed. Trying to get the third one to come over. That was a little too high. Almost had that time. Trying to get on top of the ceiling. And he gets it on the final chance he had. So time to break through the blocks. Head on over. Another giant Zot. Kill it. Presjpolk using the spell, which we didn't see on Error's end. And we head through the final sector of the Great Palace. 8, 8, and 6. As they would jump up, grab the thunder, get ready to smack the Thunderbird, and time to give him some good attacks. And make your way over towards the final boss of the game. That's a very good Thunderbird kill for Error. Presjpolk not getting the final encounter skip, has to leave. We'll get it now, uses the spell. Error now making his way over to Dark Link. And here we go. The attack gets the first hit. Finally gets the second hit. Dark Link being very, very resilient today. Finally gets the third hit. Dark Link trying to say no to the sub 80 here for Error. Gets 5. That's 6. 2 more hits to go. Gets the 7th. And now, that's the 8th. We're done. And stops the timer with a 1 hour 19:31. A sub 80 effort from Error, who gets his first win at the group stage. And Presjpolk going to do his best to finish off this palace here. Because remember, once again, the tiebreaker is going to be your final time. So great effort there for Error. His next matchup will be to be determined, as during the round robin setup, there's no set schedule for the matches. It is when people do schedule them against the people within their group, so you might not necessarily have him going up against Highlander next, or Drone, or Zarnex, but he's going to be going up against one of those 3 next as soon as he's able to schedule it. Now we're seeing Prez take the conventional path, being very patient with 2 bars left of his life. And for Prez, I think probably the biggest contributing factor to what ended up happening was some tough luck with Palace 1, but definitely the error when he took the wrong level, which was the bad luck in Palace 1, but taking the wrong level in Palace 1. And don't forget, if you want to find out more information about this tournament as a whole, as Presj trying to get the red jar, finally gets it on the second try, be sure to check out that link, challenge.com/2016 Zelda 2, where you're going to get a complete list of the groups, the standings, and the upcoming schedule for all of these races that are coming up during the course of this tournament. So, great race. Error with a couple of interesting moves during the course of that run, but was able to pull it off. I think probably wished he could have gotten the eco key, but I'm sure he'll definitely take 79-31 in the course of a race. Presj now dealing with this the Blue Knight. This is that very, very challenging. Doesn't want him to come up with him is able to keep him away. An interesting strat just going with the fairy here, but that's to avoid this. You don't want to deal with the fire. There's no reason to deal with the fire. As Press just gets himself ready to go for the final path. He's gonna death abuse there to set himself up with the full magic, the full life. And interesting here is the fact that heading into the fight against Thunderbird, Presjpolk is going to have life 5, but he's got enough experience that he will be able to level up his life after Thunderbird. And I'm guessing he's going to opt for a health refill, or he's not even going to need it. That was a beautiful kill against Thunderbird. As he goes up against Dark Link. Really good, great palace. All the matches are played against each other in the group stage, so it's going to be 4 total matches between each other. And we welcome into the room with us, Eric. Congratulations on your win.
So I hadn't scrolled down far enough to actually see chats because of all of the group chats and wasn't paying attention.
Oh, it's all right. Well, welcome here. 79:31, your time. Tell me your thoughts during this race.
Well, you can tell that I'm not too concerned about making it out of the group stage, or otherwise, for one, I would have never gone alternate route in the Great Palace, and I would have never real fought Dark Link. Because that cost me probably a minute and a half. But otherwise, get another attack 3 run. Not a great Death Mountain. Palace 4 was awesome. That would probably been a gold split if I had the if I took out my old gold split, which has a different route in it for Palace 4.
You got good RNG during that boss fight.
But that was pretty good. I missed the eco key. I scrolled the screen far to the right and didn't recover it. So had some adventures in Palace 5.
Yeah, you had a tough setup there for the eco key with the only one bubble there to help you out.
Well, it's always just the one bubble. But like I said, I scrolled the screen too far to the right. So the actual setup was a little bit off. Yeah.
Now, tell me what you would have done in the Great Palace if that last kill there didn't put you on the top of that room.
A lot more heads actually spawn than that. I mean, I hadn't exhausted the spawn of. I mean, you have to go really out of your way to kill every single dragon head in that room. If for some reason I had failed and killed all the enemies or whatnot, then I would have been forced to game over and gone the real route, and it would have been a lot closer race. But I'm pretty confident in my ability to get up there, and I knew I had a huge.
Of the remaining opponents in your group, who would you have to say you're probably looking forward to racing the most?
First off, I'd have to bring up the to show you how much I've paid attention. I don't know who is all in my group.
You got Highlanders, Zarnax, and RC Drone.
To be honest, I have no preference. Gotta play them all. Gotta beat them all. Gotta go after all the Zelda 1 people. Zelda 2 is a superior game. Not really, but Um, this kind of depends, but say no real preference right now. But hope to get the group stages done sooner rather than later, so we can get to the knockout stages. Because I feel like I've got a pretty good chance of getting it to the knockout stages.
Well, you put together an effort like this, and you should definitely have yourself in a good position for the knockout stage. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What would you have to say you probably have to work on the most as you get ready for the next race?
Probably just general consistency, because well, I should back up. The long-term goal is that I actually need to finally get down to studying JNs and simples sub 76 times, because they have a few like minor combat optimizations here and there that just doing one of them, maybe saves you a second, but they're all over the place, and so I lose a little bit of time here and there just over the entire run. So looking ahead, so looking ahead that far, I need to, if I want to actually win the tournament, I need to actually practice some of those combat optimizations. Otherwise, I just need to get a little bit more consistent with some of the strats, take a little bit less damage, like that.
What did you? And I'm just gonna go back up to your relay race yesterday. What did you think when you had that Guma fight that took all of about 3 seconds?
Felt pretty good because it was the fastest Guma I'd ever pulled off. And to be honest, the one I did in this race would have been better if he hadn't pushed himself to the far to the right, because I actually had a better jackhammer in this race against him than I did in the relay, but he went too far to the right.
Yeah, that was tough
Time,
luck. The
so
fact that that was tough luck that he went off the side like that. And a good one cycle on the Palace 6 boss.
it was kind of eh. I mean, that's a lot more showy if you do the entire jackhammer, but I ended up falling off early. It's still good for one cycle, but it could have been better.
Yeah, better to at least get on the air of caution there if you're falling down than to go into the pit.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Press is going to be joining us here, but is there anything you want to say to Presjpolk?
This sounds like bait. I've been trying to convince Prez to do the light route. He does Dark Death Mountain in all keys because of experience consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that learn attack through Death Mountain, but I'm done with trying to convince him of that. Sorry that he had problems in Palace 1, because I did have the restream open. I did see that he had to jump over Jim. Palace
Yeah,
1
you saw what ended up happening there, where he took the magic and realized his mistake right immediately.
Right. Because I glanced over there at that time, and all I saw him doing was just standing there with the Stalfos just stabbing. So I knew that it wasn't buffering. So I wasn't sure what happened at that time, but then I caught the restream chat. So
yeah, he ended up taking the magic and when he leveled up and didn't have enough, and he stood there probably for a good 15-20 seconds with his hand over his face like a face palm.
But yeah,
Well, congratulations.
I hope he has good luck in the rest. Better luck in the in his future races, and see if he can make it to the knockout stages, because he's good enough to beat the remaining 3 opponents.
Well, let's see what ends up happening. Good luck to you as well.
Even going the worst route.
Yeah. Well, he definitely had a clean run through the Great Palace, so we'll see what ends up happening. Good luck to you the rest of the way, Air.
Thank you.
All right. Give them up for both of these runners, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. I'm Adirondack Rick. Thank you for joining us. And once again, challenge.com/2016 Zelda 2 to find out the tournament brackets and to keep up with what's going on here with the tournament, find out the upcoming schedule, the entire group stages, and all that stuff. Anything you want to add, JLo?
Well, I think you covered it all.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks for watching.